Got it? Okay, cool.
Cool.
Okay.
Rightio. Cool. So I think I've got the kickoff talk today. So I will just share a screen and then let me know when you can see it.
We can see it.
Cool. So,
Grab that camera and move it out the one.
and I promised that I would try and avoid saying in this talk, so I'm really going to try. And then there's going to be a lot of biting on my tongue. So I'm going to be demoing the Let's Encrypt integration, which I shared a quick postcard of the other day. Damn it. I've worked through it with Mike Noonan, so we've got some stuff going, and we've got some good feedback on that one. So it's in a relatively final place, but yeah, just sharing so that I can get some feedback from the rest of you. So the main audience of this feature is very similar to the Let's Encrypt audience. So it's the people that don't have HTTPS set up as yet. It's not aimed at big enterprise. It's so it doesn't support HA because that just gets confusing with multiple servers and certificates, and it doesn't work for non-public Octopus servers just due to the way Octopus, Let's Encrypt works. So if we have a look at the cert, so it's a specific cert for our domain here, and that will come in and load when it loads up. And then once it's loaded, this task restarts and finishes off. Thanks to Rob Wagner for most of the code that handled all that, made my life a lot easier. And so now when we have a look at the certificates page here, we can see that it's enabled. The SSL certificate was renewed very recently, and we can go and have a look at the log of that if we want to. Oh, that loads. And it's due to expire in 2 months. 2 months and 4 weeks. And so if we, and there's a log, which is not very exciting, it's what we just saw. We can renew it, which just uses the same details as we did the first time round. And because we are already listening on that HTTPS endpoint, we don't need to restart. So it's much quicker, and we've already applied the certificate. So, and if we, hard refresh and we'd see that, but yeah, 13 seconds ago. And yeah, if you remember what that said, that would have said 25, I'm guessing. Now it says finishes at 26 minutes past. So, if you need to change the email address or something around it, you need to disable it and then re-enable it, and then we get our settings up here. And now we get to choose the because we know about the HTTPS binding, we get to choose it, and we're already just going to listen on 443. So we originally you could originally type in a DNS entry to listen on, but then we came to the conclusion actually because of the HTTP endpoint constraint, you need to be already listening on a given URL. So you have to choose an existing binding all the time. So if we re-register, re-registering is effectively the same as renewing. So that'll kick along and do its thing. So the one challenge with this is if you come along, okay, I've got my Let's Encrypt certificate running and sorted, but then actually we come along and add back in our company certificate, our given one. So then in that case, you're going to have your own certificate on the portal, but Let's Encrypt is still going to be going, well, I think I'm going to need to renew this at some point soon. And then it'll come along in around about 3 months' time and replace your certificate, which is not what you wanted it to do. So as we come along here, and we'll just use our sorry, that one. So we're back to using our wildcards. And if we run that, so in here, it will show us, stop moving. It appears you've modified the SSL certificate for the HTTPS binding that's currently managed by Let's Encrypt integration. To ensure we don't overwrite your SSL certificate, we've disabled integration with Let's Encrypt. So it will automatically disable that. And then you come back in here, and because it's a bit unhappy, and so now the integration is disabled there. So that is pretty much there. There's a few minor tweaks to be done around it. There's a few docs and things. But overall, yeah, it's pretty much good. Looking forward to some more eyes on it. There's a few edge cases around it, but yeah.
Oh, good.
Quick question about the staging certificate. That's only for the demo, or?
That's only, yeah, that's only for development, really.
Okay, cool. So
it's just the live Let's Encrypt endpoint only allows you to do 5 renewals per week. If you are using the staging one, you get to there's like 30,000 a week. The limit's 30,000 a week or something. So it just means yeah, if you're using the live endpoint, you're going to hit the limits pretty quick, and you're not going to be able to do much. So yeah, that'll be, yeah, given it all works enough now, I'll be turning that off pretty soon, switching over to the live endpoint.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So here I have a environments page, enable machines on it. So not very exciting. But if I just close that. If I hop over onto this VM, put my password in. So this is Ubuntu. So as the title of my TLDR was Linux, this is a Linux machine. This Linux machine also has a Tentacle on it. So I can run Tentacle, register with the server, and I'm registering it as a active Tentacle or a polling Tentacle. So I'll let that run through. Yep, making sure it can connect. And please demo God's work.
You needed to work the drama better there, Rob.
Yeah.
Oh, did I?
You need a more dramatic reveal there. I have a tentacle on Ubuntu.
Yeah, and of course that happened, didn't it? There we go. Yeah. It probably crashed in the short time I was listening to yeah, cool. Let me just run that. I was probably closing all windows prepping for this talk, and I closed the Octopus server window. Here we go. We have another one. And now for my dramatic reveal. Ta-da! Is that better?
Ooh.
There's a tentacle connecting. There we go. Okay, it's connected successfully. Yay! On the actual tentacle itself. Cool. There we go. Right, listening, running. It's trusting a few servers. Oh, there we go. It's running things. So let's go back over to our machine. Refresh our environments page. We have a Tentacle and it's done a health check. So I'll just prove that again. We check health. Just get task log. Verbose. We are running Ubuntu 16.04. And we have files on a file system. So yeah, awesome.
Nice.
Nice. Now let's update Calamari. Task log. Cool. Awesome. And our environment should now say, and we can even, and here's a release I did earlier, or prepared earlier. Play now. So this is downloading the package directly to the Tentacle on the Ubuntu machine. It's actually got it from its internal cache, but it does download. There we go, deploying the package to that folder, and it applies the retention policy. So now if we go back over to our machine and stop the Tentacle, so I don't have to swap windows, and look at what's in our applications, local shed. So I just grabbed the Octopus shared library off MyGet, and it should have deployed the actual DLL from that NuGet package to Linux. So, yay! We have Tentacle running on Linux.
So is that running PowerShell or Bash? Like, what's it actually doing there?
It's running Bash.
Right.
How does Octopus know to send Bash to it rather than PowerShell?
Yeah, so that's the smoke and mirrors part of it. I've changed the server Tentacle facade to send all Bash commands. Everything from the SSH integration scripts are being run instead of the PowerShell scripts. And Tentacle, I've already also changed a lot of Tentacle to, well, parts of Tentacle to be run Bash instead of PowerShell. So at the moment, that's where it falls down. At the moment, it doesn't know the difference between whether it's deploying to a Windows or Linux machine and whether it should use Bash or PowerShell.
So we could conceivably build something into Tentacle, though, that just tried to run PowerShell, and if it didn't work.
Well, the Tentacle knows what platform it's on, though, right?
Well, it's not so much what platform, it's what scripting language it needs to send, isn't it?
But I mean, the platform kind of tells you that.
And what variants of scripting?
Yeah, so the health, we would have to do it right up front. The first thing that runs is probably health check and determine what the OS is. We could add something to detect the OS and then switch to the right kind of scripting.
So we are bringing that stuff back in the health check. It's just at the moment we don't do anything. We don't store it. It's just text in the health check. We do get platform information.
Yeah, the health check won't run.
Yeah, that's right. This has to be built into Tentacle. It can't be shipped across as a script.
Yeah.
Which I think, I mean, that makes sense to me. The Tentacle knows where it's running. Now.
Yeah.
It goes, I know about Bash or I know about PowerShell or whatever.
Is there any plans to make PowerShell on Linux something we support? I mean, Microsoft's not, so.
It might just work.
I would like to see it, but I think Rob Erez might be fighting me on that one.
I mean, if it all works, and the only thing is, it's one thing for us to write a couple of our scripts and test and know that it works. It's another thing for us to say, here's the community library. These PowerShell scripts will run anywhere. So it's more about, if it's something we control, like for example, a health check script that is written in PowerShell, sure, that might be fine if we know that it works. It's more everything else from there on.
Yeah, you got that problem anyway because most of the steps won't actually run on this configuration.
Yeah,
right, because they're written in PowerShell.
Would they have to install PowerShell, or is that something we just bundle as a DLL into Tentacle?
You need to install it.
So we could sniff for that as well, just like we would. At the moment, we just default the Bash.
You know, yeah, it's just one more Windowsy thing that Linux people aren't going to want to install.
I think the other problem is it's not so much that they don't want to install it, but anytime they run into a problem, they can't just Stack Overflow it. Like Bash has got everything on there, but if you're a Linux admin doing PowerShell stuff, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah. So we can run scripts inside packages. Script steps work if you run Bash. And then you can start building your own community step templates based on Bash if we start supporting that. So, yeah.
So how do you see from a UI perspective, if you say, let you select PowerShell on the UI and the target is a Linux machine, do we warn them?
Well, the thing is,
at the moment we do, yeah.
Well, at the time they select PowerShell and run a script step, for example, we don't know what the target is going to be, and that may actually run across multiple targets.
So that problem exists now though as well. Like that, in theory now you could set up a script, write it in PowerShell or Bash and have the role itself go across multiple machines.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best we can do is to fail at deployment time.
It would be nice to have the option though to perhaps be able to write a script step and go, here's the Bash version, here's the PowerShell version. Use
Use the right one. Yeah.
But that said, how many users are actually going to use that?
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
Yeah. You can always do it with 2 steps and 2 different roles.
I think that's what most people do.
Yeah. So yes, so this is far from finished. There's still all those UI issues and switching between the two, but at least we're a little bit closer.
It's interesting though, if we have a cross-platform Tentacle, and obviously Calamari runs cross-platform, it feels like those little bits that we wire together with the PowerShell now is the bit that's not cross-platform. It seems a shame to have to do that glue in different scripting languages. I wonder how much of that we can make go away. Because we now have something that runs cross-platform. It's called .NET, right?
Yeah. Also, just write it in C#.
Just write it in C#.
Yeah.
Bundle.
Definitely.
Yeah, scripts, yes.
Script CS or just
Just C#.
a DLL and run execute the DLL on the other side. All we're using that PowerShell for in a lot of cases is to invoke Calamari, or it's like the glue.
There's a lot of infrastructure code that isn't to do with the deployment itself.
That's right. It's plumbing.
It's adding quotes.
Example like the Windows services. If we made it it's a different installing a service on Linux, but
Yeah, platform-specific scripts would stay the way they are. I can imagine, like the IIS script, that would stay the way it is. It's the thing that you run on every platform.
Again, it's that difference between the step, like the actual work that the users want done, which is your deployment process. They would say, well, everything else is the infrastructure stuff that Octopus needs to set the world up to do those, and that's the stuff we can have a common language.
Yeah, but I don't think we have that much PowerShell. I remember adding F#, so you need a bootstrapper file really in your language.
But even on the server, every time we go to do anything at all, there's a little bit of PowerShell that invokes Calamari, and at the moment that's all duplicated for in Bash as well.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but the other side of it is the invocation of Calamari is slightly different on Windows and on Linux.
Yeah, so like on my branch at the moment, I've created a placeholder for that Calamari invocation that gets supplied. We just need to think this through a little bit.
Yeah, we could do it by bundling a command file with it and never running with extensions. There's a few things we could do. So the most of the changes were around that bootstrapper, the health check script that runs, and then the actual unpacking scripts and that, which is
So I mean, at the end of the day, though, we'd still always want to have the Bash scripts anyway for people who don't want a Tentacle, they just want SSH. So it's also a matter of, is it like, if we still need the SSH stuff anyway, and we need the PowerShell stuff anyway, is it much point trying to consolidate something for PowerShell just for the people who are doing Tentacle on Linux, if the Tentacle on Linux can still run the Bash scripts? You know what I mean? Because we've got the Bash scripts we need for SSH, and if we can do that through the Tentacle on Linux, do we get any value from having a...
It's more just we're going to have to change something, because at the moment it's that Tentacle facade or whatever it is that runs the PowerShell, and that's, it's just hardwired to PowerShell at the moment.
Yeah, but Yeah, but if it knew what to run, it's actually in the tentacle is whether it runs PowerShell or Bash to execute the script that it's given.
Yeah, because to get to the tentacle, it's just a network call. There is no.
Yeah,
So
and then
as long as everything in the tentacle knows that I'm on Linux, so I'll do it through Bash or I'll do it through PowerShell.
and then it's just up to the server to supply the right kind of script.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
or it could supply both even. I mean, the scripts themselves, the Bootstrap scripts themselves aren't
True.
huge.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of, 2 or 3 lines of text. So if that's easier, if that's an easier option, I don't think that's the end of the world either.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea, actually. Yeah. Anyway, that was it. It was just
That's nice.
Nice.
yeah. Cool.